So some reminders. Your carrying capacity world population growth assignment is due on Monday, today. Make sure you get that done. The other two assignments that were assigned last week, the two YouTube videos, the Texas mosquito mystery and human population growth, you needed to watch those and fill in the worksheet for that. And then your ecological footprint activity, both those are due on this Wednesday, on the 22nd. You will have a unit quiz on Wednesday. This quiz will be timed. You'll get probably 30 to 45 minutes, depending on how long it ends up being to finish it. So you can't start it and then come back 2 hours later. You've got to finish it within that time frame. The stuff that's going to be covered is carrying capacity, the world population graph, which we'll talk about here in a second, biotic and abiotic factors, keystone species, which we'll talk about today. You'll be able to use any of your notes, any of the videos, worksheets, or slideshows that I put in Canvas. And then another reminder, since we're talking about Canvas, if you get into Canvas and you see that there are some assignments that are grayed out and then you can't click on them, that means that you have to view something before you move on to that. So in this case, April 20th, carrying capacity, start here. There's a little circle beside it and it says view. You have to open this up. You have had to view the video associated with this or read the instructions or whatever else I have in there before you can move on to this. That will stay grayed out until you get into here. All right. So that unit quiz will be on Wednesday. One of the things that I wanted to talk about real quick was that world population graph that you saw. The big question that I had on there, when does growth increase dramatically and what might have happened to cause this? A lot of you said births went up and deaths went down. That's not a high school answer. Obviously, I would have population growth in that case. But the question is wanting to know why in this time period do I have a huge increase in growth? The Black Plague really doesn't have anything to do with it. The Black Plague is just there to show us that huge dip that we had in the world population. The Black Plague has nothing to do with this increased growth. Most of that increased growth happened right around the Industrial Revolution. We had more technology. We had more access to hospitals, medicine. People were living longer. Babies were surviving. Kids were surviving. They were growing up. We had a huge population growth due to technology, medicine, that type of thing. So why did births go up? More infants survived. The hospital systems were better. Deaths went down because there was less disease. People didn't die of as many things as easily. All right, so your first assignment for Monday is reviewing some carrying capacity factors. And let's look at that real quick. So this is located in Canvas Explorer 1, carrying capacity factors. This is pretty easy, pretty straightforward. All you're doing is reviewing a few things on carrying capacity. So I have a few factors of carrying capacity here. You're going to decide basically if they increase or decrease carrying capacity in a short explanation. And then you'll fill in these two boxes, biotic and abiotic factors in an ecosystem. Biotic are living things, abiotic are non-living things. So listed as many biotic and abiotic factors as you can think of that would limit a population size. You can use Google if you need help with that one. So that is your first assignment. Your second assignment, I think this is kind of an interesting assignment to do, is you're going to look at something called a keystone species. So got our beaver there. Beaver's a keystone species. Keystone species are a vital part of an ecosystem. They hold it together. They make sure that that ecosystem is sustainable. If we would lose our keystone species, our ecosystem would change dramatically. We might have extinctions. We might have lots of animals become endangered. We might have to have animals that move out, plants that disappear. Sometimes plants or other animals will take over if we remove a species. So removal of a keystone species could have a dramatic effect on the ecosystem. Predators are one type of keystone species. They help primarily control the population. They tend to predators going to tend to prey on the weaker, sicker animals in the ecosystem, so the stronger ones are going to survive. So we've got our tiger shark here. That is an example of a keystone predator. We also have what we call ecosystem engineers. They create, change, or destroy a habitat. Um, Typically, if they're going to be a key part of that ecosystem, they're pretty much creating a habitat, changing it for more animals to survive. And our beaver is a great example of that. We talked about in class how when the beavers um, went extinct from areas like Yellowstone, Yellowstone changed dramatically just because the beaver was not there. Another example is mutualists. Mutualists are two or more uh, plants or animals that interact with each other's benefit. Uh, Best example we have is bees and pollen. Flowers provide nectar for the bee. The bee uh, takes some of the flower's pollen, and as it goes to other flowers, it helps pollinate those flowers. So they benefit from each other. Keystone species can also be plants. An example of this is mangrove forests. They help uh, create a habitat. They provide a prevention against erosion. Um, so plants can also be keystone species. And here's a few more examples of keystone species. A lot of times we don't know the role of a keystone species or how beneficial that role of that keystone species is until it is gone or endangered. We have lots of keystone species that we've identified because they've been endangered. For instance, bees, um, turtles, got prairie dogs, we've got even a tree, sugar maple, and we've got our tiger shark. So your assignment in Canvas, there's keystone species assignment on there. You're going to read a few paragraphs and answer some comprehension questions. And then after that, you're going to choose a keystone species and make a short slideshow on the keystone species. If you want to, you could even make a video if you don't want to make a slideshow. That might be a little more interesting. But you're going to talk about its habitat, where it's located, why it's a keystone species, what could happen if it was lost. Talk about if it's endangered right now or if it's okay, and then any other relevant information that you can come up with. Make sure that when you link your slideshow that you turn on your sharing settings, and I'll show you how to do that here in a second. Over here is 12 examples of keystone species. You can use any of those you want to, or you can go use Google, find another one. But those are examples. So how do you turn on your sharing settings? Up here at the top, when you click on share, when you click on get shareable link over here, you want to make sure that this says anyone at North Thurston Public Schools with this link can view. Most of you have link sharing turned off, so you give me a link and I get nothing. I cannot view it. So you have to do that. Otherwise, I can't grade it and you've done work for nothing. So make sure you turn those sharing settings on. All right, so in Canvas, it's called Keystone Species. I'll open it up real quick and we'll talk about it. So the first part, you're just going to read through it. Then you'll answer some comprehension questions about it. And here's the research part. So you're going to research another keystone species that we haven't discussed in the reading, and make a short slideshow or a video and talk about the factors that I have listed on there. And then you'll link your slideshow here. So make sure you turn on your sharing settings, get that shareable link, put it in there so that I can open it up. And then you'll turn that in and I'll grade it. Make sure if you guys have any questions, you email me and I can get back to you pretty quick. All right.